Hallo und willkommen zu Now German. Hey Sie.
Hi, welcome. Hey, Gregor.
This is lesson 35 and we are talking about things in the living room, im Wohnzimmer.
Im Wohnzimmer.
Yes, what is in your living room?
A table, a chair, closet, bed.
Yes, many pieces of furniture like that. I don't think necessarily a bed is in the living room. I don't think that's the case for you either. But we have definitely a lot of different furnitures. And that's also what we look at. And we'll also look at how to say something is in something else. And I'll already tell you in advance, we will need the dative case for that. But before we talk about grammar a lot, let's look at our dialogue.
Die Wohnung ist groß. Sie hat auch viele Möbel.
Ja, stimmt. Im Wohnzimmer hat es 2 Tische, 8 Stühle, ein Sofa, einen Fernseher und 3 Lampen. Was ist in der Küche?
In der Küche sind ein Kühlschrank, ein Herd und ein Waschbecken. Alles ist neu und groß.
Okay, die Wohnung ist groß und hat viele Möbel, aber sie ist auch nicht billig. All right, so this is a quite complicated, long sentence dialogue, but it's mostly because we list a lot of furniture. So let's also make use of this lesson to look at some of the furniture words. Some of them you will know, for example, die Wohnung,
Die Wohnung.
that's the apartment, and viele,
Viele.
many. And then an important topic for today is die Möbel.
Die Möbel.
That's the furniture. And other than English, this word is usually used in plural. So in English, furniture is a singular word. We would not really say furnitures. But in German, Möbel is a plural word. It's usually used as a plural. And then we have stimmt.
Stimmt.
Yes. And das Wohnzimmer.
Das Wohnzimmer.
That is the living room. And der Tisch,
Der Tisch.
which is the table. And what's the plural? The tables?
Die Tische.
That's right. Just add the letter E in the end. And then we have the chair. That is der Stuhl.
Der Stuhl.
Yes. And how to say the chairs in plural?
Die Stühle.
Yes. Here U becomes Ü. And then also on top of that, we also add letter E. Exactly. And then we have das Sofa.
Das Sofa.
Yes, that is the sofa. And then a new one, the TV is der Fernseher.
Der Fernseher.
Yes, and Fernseher, sehen, that means to see, and then fern, that means far, far away. So this is the far-seeing device, der Fernseher.
Der Fernseher.
Yes, exactly. And then let's look at our second part of the vocabulary where we have die Lampe.
Die Lampe.
The lamp. And the lamps in plural is?
Die Lampen.
That's right. And we have the kitchen, that is die Küche.
Die Küche.
Yes. And nowadays, almost every kitchen will have also a refrigerator. And in German, that is der Kühlschrank.
Der Kühlschrank.
Yes. And so the opposite, if you don't want to have something cool, but you want to heat it up, you want to cook it in a pot or whatever, we will use der Herd.
Der Herd.
Yes, that is the stove. And so after you cook something, you also probably want to clean it. And if you're not using a dishwasher, but you're doing it by hand, you will use das Waschbecken.
Das Waschbecken.
Yeah, that is the sink. And then lastly, we have alles.
Alles.
That is everything. Sounds good to you?
Yes.
All right. So these are a lot of words. I think a good way to learn them is if you actually look at the items in your own apartment, in your own home, And when you see them and you don't know the word, you try to remember the how to call them in German. You might even put a post-it on them for some time, and then you see, oh, this is, for example, die Küche. This is der Kühlschrank. So this is a very interesting way to remember these words. All right. If you don't have any questions, let's go to the dialogue for a second time.
Die Wohnung ist groß. Sie hat auch viele Möbel.
Ja, stimmt. Im Wohnzimmer hat es 2 Tische, 8 Stühle, ein Sofa, einen Fernseher und 3 Lampen.
In der Küche sind ein Kühlschrank, ein Herd und ein Waschbecken. Alles ist neu und groß.
Okay, die Wohnung ist groß und hat viele Möbel, aber sie ist auch nicht billig. All right. And so we had a lot of furniture, but also another grammar that we saw in this is how to say something is in something else. And as I mentioned, you need to use the dative for that. So if I say der Kühlschrank, that is a nominative case. How would I say that in the dative case?
Dem Kühlschrank.
Exactly. And we have das Wohnzimmer. How is the dative of that?
Dem Wohnzimmer.
Yes. And then die Küche.
Der Küche.
Yes, exactly. So basically, what you can remember is that feminine, die, becomes der, which is for some people really weird because der is the normal nominative masculine pronoun, right? But here it becomes in dative the feminine pronoun. So you remember dative, die becomes der, and then in singular, everything else is dem. Masculine is dem, and neuter is also dem. Make sense?
Yes.
And then, how to say something is in something else, we use the preposition in. That's literally the same as English. It's even spelled the same way as English, but we will abbreviate. In dem, we will always abbreviate it to im. So in these sentences, you actually don't see dem, you just see im. And in there, we don't abbreviate that. You can't say ja or something like that. We need to have it spelled out in there. All right. So for example, we have the apple is in the fridge. How would I say that?
Der Apfel ist im Kühlschrank.
That's right. Or the apple is in the living room.
Der Apfel ist im Wohnzimmer.
Yes. And lastly, the apple is in the kitchen.
Der Apfel ist in der Küche.
That's right. That's right. And so this is where you need the dative. And we didn't look at other, for example, indefinite articles, personal pronouns with the dative that much. We will look at it in more detail later. But for how to say in something, just use im and in there. Make sense?
Yes.
Good. Then let's go to our dialogue one last time.
Die Wohnung ist groß. Sie hat auch viele Möbel.
Ja, stimmt. Im Wohnzimmer hat es 2 Tische, 8 Stühle, ein Sofa, einen Fernseher und 3 Lampen. Was ist in der Küche?
In der Küche sind ein Kühlschrank, ein Herd und ein Waschbecken. Alles ist neu und groß.
Okay, die Wohnung ist groß und hat viele Möbel, aber sie ist auch nicht billig. All right. So that is what is in the living room. And as I mentioned, it's always a good idea to practice with the things you actually have around you and the things you actually want to talk about. So if you have some important furniture that we didn't cover in this lesson, I encourage you to look it up yourself and then talk to all your friends about it in German. Perhaps better to talk to some who actually speak German, but if you don't have them, you can even tell your friends who don't speak German. All right. Any last thoughts?
Oh, good.
Great. Then we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Cheers.
Cheers.